Hey guys, my name is Michal Hutko and welcome to another video in our Pandas tutorial. In this video we're gonna talk about indexing the data frame. In the previous video I mentioned the selecting from data frame, and indexing is very similar to this. Instead, besides just reading from the data frame, we also want to update a certain position of the data frame. So let's jump right back to our Jupyter lab, and as you can see I have prepared here a file called indexing data frame. You can find it on my GitHub linked in the description below. Feel free to go through the code with me as I go right now. So as you can see, I'm reading the data frame, and the data frame looks as follows. Now imagine you want to update the cell on a certain position. Let's say we want to update these MS zoning at the second row. The way how you can do it is to access this position. And previously I mentioned the attribute of the data frame called iLoc. So you will use iLoc for this, where you specify the index location of the position, which you then gonna override with the number 3. Right, as you can see, I put here the 2, which stands for the third row, because they are indexed with 0, starting with 0, and then the third column, because they are indexed with 0 also. So running this, as you can see, you will see that the MS zoning part was set to 3, right? Quite simple. But we will continue with the next example. Now, the important thing which you should understand here, that when you run a command like this, I will copy it here for you. So when you run the command like defa eloc 2 and 2, well, let's put it into separate files so you have the better overview of it. A reference to a data frame is being returned. So this iLoc refers to a very specific position in the data frame. It's not like a copy of a data frame. So we are referring immediately into the position here in the data frame. For this reason, by assigning this value with 0, we are adjusting the original data frame, right? So keep this in mind. This is called a copy of a data frame. A view of a data frame is being returned. So this is basically a view to the third row and the third column within the data frame. Now let's continue with the more complex examples. I mentioned that the view is being returned, but sometimes Pandas will greet you with some nice warning when you want to adjust something. So let's say you have a data frame as we had before, which I'm reading in this row. Then I'm selecting a first row of a data frame. So I will just demonstrate that by running this command here, I will return a first row. So this is the first row of data frame. You can use this syntax to refer to an index position, to the index value of the data frame, right? So I'm assigning this temp data frame to the first row, and then I'm accessing the ID and setting it to 1000. And as you can see, the data frame has been adjusted to 1000 at the first row at the ID position, but this warning has been presented to us. And when you will work with the Pandas daily, you will be greeted with this warning almost every time when you don't care about view and copy of a data frame. But the right way is to understand this warning. What is basically warning saying? Let's read it. A value is trying to be set on a copy of a slice from a data frame. The thing which is Pandas saying us is that be careful, you may be adjusting a copy of a data frame. So you are not adjusting a view. So your updates might not be applied into the data frame, the original data frame, right? But as you can see right now, it was applied, right? The original data frame has been changed. Also, the partial data frame, when we print it like this, is changed, right? It's a one row and the ID is set to 1000. So why is Pandas telling us this warning? Well, first of all, this is warning. So you might not care about warning. Warnings are not errors. Warnings will not destroy your program. It will not interrupt your program. So one of the approaches is when you are 100% sure, you are adjusting what you want. So you are adjusting the original data frame in case you want to adjust the original data frame, or you are returning a copy, so a brand copy of the data frame, then go on. But sometimes Pandas may behave differently as you expect. And here is a very nice example down here. So when things stop working, Imagine you have this data frame over here, and now you want to get the rows where the MS subclass is equal to 20. So this first part, as you will see here, sorry, will return the rows where the MS subclass is equal to 20, right? And then you are going to set the MS subclass to 0 in this case, right? So for those rows where the MS subclass is equals to 20, you won't update the MS subclass to 0, right? So there won't be any MS subclass 20. And when you run this, you can see that there are still these MS subclasses of 20. And now the question is, why is this happening? And the answer is because in this case, when you run the df MS subclass, so the conditional select, the pandas returned the copy of the data frame. So in this case, we are not referring to original data frame, but we are returning a copy of sub data frame where the MS subclass is equals to 20. And then when we are setting it like MS subclass 20, we are setting the copy of data frame, and that's the reason why the original data frame was not affected. And now the question is, well, okay, Michal, so now I'm confused. So sometimes is pandas returning a copy, and sometimes is pandas returning a view. Well, how can I understand this? How can I work with this? Like, when is when? And the right answer is that we don't know. Pandas is code to be as optimized as possible. That means that sometimes these square brackets are returning a copy of a data frame, and sometimes is view of a data frame. But don't worry, Pandas provides us a way how we can be 100% sure that the thing which we are receiving is a view when we want a view, and when it's a copy when we want a copy. And the solution for this is written inside the warning. Try using ilog row indexer column indexer value instead. And if you scroll up, so this is the example which I showed you at the beginning where we set it to 1000. Under there is the example where we are solving this problem with the lock, right? So we are reading the data frame, and then we are setting the first row of ID to 3000. So I'm reading it and assigning back to df, so I override the changes which I made previously, so that's the reason we can start from the bottom again. And then when I run this, you can see there is no warning because I'm using elog, and then the original data frame has been updated for us. Now, this is the ilog approach, right? So Pandas knows that when we are using ilog, we are referring to original data frame anytime. It's always returning a view. So we are 100% sure. So, but now, right now, there is a question, what if we want to return a copy, right? So sometimes it's quite useful to work with a copy. We want to have a copy of a sub data frame, play with it, but we always want to keep this original data frame somewhere safe from all the updates, and then we can go back to the original data frame and, you know, get rid of all the updates which we have in the copy, right? And this is possible. So the same thing is here. We are again trying to get the first row, but we are running a method called copy, and copy method is returning a copy of a subselect of a data frame. So this returns a data frame, and then we are assigning the temp df to a data frame, setting the temp df id to 2000, and printing, well, because this is before df, the last command will be outputted. So we are outputting the df, and as you can see, the original data frame has not been changed. But when I output the temp df, which is a copy of the data frame, because we are running the copy, the copy has been adjusted, right? It's quite clever. So keep in mind, when you want to work with a view of a data frame, always use ilog or lock, right? There we can be 100% sure we are working with the view of a data frame. When we want to work with a copy, please use that copy. So when you are indexing, please omit using the square brackets only. Use lock or the copy. Fine. So when we go next, let's talk about something. Let's talk about something different, right? So using the copy method. The copy method is quite powerful because besides returning the copy of a data frame, we can also return a view. So we can immediately use copy to use a view. So if you look here, there is an argument of the copy called deep, and when this deep is set to false, which is not default option, so when we set the deep to false, we are returning a view of a data frame, but when we are setting the df copy to true, which is out of the box behavior, we are returning the data frame. So as you can see, the copy of a data frame. So as you can see, by running the copy function method, you can return either a copy or a view, depending on the deep option, right? Okay guys, this could be quite complicated for you. Please go inside your Jupyter lab and try these commands. I'm just showing you the results for one reason. So I want you to run the code, and I want to make these videos as short as possible to not overwhelm you with my writing the code and getting errors and rewriting my stuff. Yes? So feel free to pause the video anytime. Go through the examples, try to run the copy and the view, and check out how does the data frame behaves. Okay guys, this was the indexing of the data frame. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope I will see you in the next one.